Welcome to the Wildlife Wire. I'm Mark Searles,
And I'm Samantha Miller.
and this is your source for wildlife news and the people that make it.
Merry Fishmas.
Merry Fishmas to you.
Yep, we wish you a Merry Fishmas. What's going on, Mark?
We're wrapping up the new year. New podcast, made it through the year. 51st episode of the year.
We are still alive, Mark. We are alive so far. We've got how many more days left in this year?
You're doing
One
math, 12?
billion. Okay. We both
Depending
know I'm
on,
not good at math.
well, depending on when, I'm excellent at math.
Okay.
Depending on when the listener, I mean, it very well
hmm
could be past the new year. But right now, you're hearing our voices from 12/19/2025.
Okay. All right. Well, here we are, Mark. How are you feeling today? Are you excited for the holidays?
Yeah, I'm going Texas.
Oh, I'm going to Texas.
Woo!
What part of Texas you going to, Mark?
Probably like 3 days away from you. Going to Waco and Dallas.
Oh, fun. You gonna see anything cool there?
I hope so. I was tipped off to a cemetery next to the hotel I'm staying at in Dallas that has some resident coyotes, so might meander over there.
I love a cemetery coyote.
I know,
They
right?
they they bring some joy to a very often dark space.
Yeah, I live right next to a cemetery and I see them in there sometimes. But yes, I agree. And I also love cemeteries. I think they're wonderful places. And all my neighbors are super quiet.
You want to know what I don't love, though, Mark? Are you ready? Can
I'm
I
ready for it. Let's go
can I
down
dive into
before
what
we
I
get
don't
up.
love? Okay, because I have a brief rant I need to go on, and I hope you're ready to take this journey with me.
Yeah.
And this rant is about none other than successful podcaster with, with a competitive listenership to us, like, right around there with the Wildlife Wire.
Neck and neck.
Um, neck and neck and neck. This is a rant about Joe Rogan. And uh, Joe Rogan
Who has never come on
has
our podcast after multiple attempts of reaching out to him. He's scared.
any anytime he can come on our podcast. So Joe Rogan is blaming liberal policies for allowing monsters, quote unquote, to run amok and eat house pets. And the monsters
Wait,
he
quick question. Do monsters fall? Do you have to have a big game license for monsters?
it's a
What are they classified as?
a nuisance species.
Ah,
So,
so nothing.
so, so nothing. No. So the monsters are native wildlife. He's referring to mountain lions, and then he also refers to some of the black bear conflicts that have been happening in Japan lately. And we are allowing for them to run
I thought
amok, I
those were kung
guess.
fu pandas, not black bears.
No, it's black bears, Asiatic black bears, Mark.
Okay.
Let's stay on course here. So here we are. Monsters are running amok, and apparently it's different policies that are allowing them to do that and eat house pets. And I'm curious how we as humans should have more control over mountain lions and black bears than we do our own domesticated animals. That's question one.
Hmm.
He says, "Oh, well, people like both of us would say, "Oh, it's okay. Let nature do its thing." And he said, "No, don't let nature do its thing. It kills your dog." And so in this, he makes an argument for trophy hunting and for hunting of mountain lions and of black bears, and says that if we don't hunt these species, that they just get culled by state agencies and hunters do a service for everyone by keeping populations in check.
Mm.
Have you heard this argument before, Mark?
Oh, once or twice.
So Have you heard any science to back this argument? Is my next question.
No, but I also have also wondered, how is it that folks like us get labeled emotional and not science-based and all these random things when it's like what he's saying is killing out of fear, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Fear is a pretty big feeling, big emotion, isn't it?
It is a big feelings. Joe Rogan's got some big old feelings,
Mhm.
and those feelings have caused him to label mountain lions as monsters. And, I think the real problems that we have here are, well, the Japan issue is completely separate and really interesting once you dig into the Asiatic black bear issue in Japan, where, the Japan population's on a decline. A lot of younger generations are moving into more urban areas. And so the conflicts that are happening with these bears are closer to the forest. And the Japanese forests have also been restructured because Japan introduced cedar into their forests. So now their forests are denser than they were before, allowing more bears to actually have cover and proliferate in the forest. So there's a couple human caused things going on with these bear conflicts. And then, of course, waste is an issue, attractants are an issue, all of those types of things. But it's really interesting. Bear attacks are very high right now in Japan, and it's something to pay attention to. But zooming back in on United States of America, our country, uh, mountain lions do not need to be hunted. Black bears don't need to be hunted. I can see an argument where people actually eat black bear, but I don't know many people who do.
And if you
Um,
do eat either one of those animals, you know what could happen to you? You could
you could
possibly
what?
be eating rodenticide poisoned meat.
Correct. And that's some hot news I think that we should just touch on briefly before we go into our other topics today. So, I often hear folks like Joe Rogan citing California, saying that California now has to kill mountain lions and have their agency kill mountain lions because they don't allow hunting. And it is not apples to apples here. California will respond to conflict on an as needed basis for specific cats involved in conflict. Hunters do not target specific cats involved in conflict. Hunters go out with dogs and pick whatever cat ends up in a tree, and half the time in Colorado, it's a female. So there's my rant. We can do better. And let's not label other species out of fear, and let's not, really proliferate misinformation around carnivores.
Yeah.
You
It,
want to you want to tell me why we can't eat bears, Mark?
but it's, Joe's got big feelings and you know, I'm proud of him for sharing his big fears, but we're here to tell him that they're unwarranted and that everything will be okay, Joe. But
Right.
yeah, so out of California this year, I'm sure many of our listeners would have seen that uh, there were wild pigs that had blue meat, and that blue meat was that color due to high levels of exposure, high levels of rodenticides building up in their tissues, in their livers. And at that same time, the California Department of Fish and Wildlife also put out a statement that says hunters should be aware that the meat of game animals, such as pig, deer, bear, and geese, might be contaminated if that animal has been exposed to rodenticides. And so eating that, so we have talked about rodenticides before and about secondary exposures, talking about how uh, a say a fox or a coyote or mountain lion or whoever it may be eats a rat or mouse that's been poisoned by rodenticides, then they get poisoned, secondary poison. So this goes one step further, saying, well, if you people don't eat coyotes, but we how many times were you told that people eat mountain lions here in Colorado?
Bobcats. I was
Bobcats
told
as
that
well.
bobcat nuggets were a thing.
Yeah, bobcat tacos. It was
Oh,
something
yeah.
that
Mm,
people really
yeah.
tried to let me know about. So uh, you, it's important for the hunting community to know that, hey, when you eat these animals, you may be exposing yourself to these anticoagulant rodenticides. And, our state agency certainly needs to get out there and share that message because it is a public health concern. And one of the reasons that people enjoy hunting and eating that meat is that feeling that they're eating uh, a healthy animal that hasn't been living in confinement, that hasn't been forced antibiotics and all that stuff, uh, which I understand that philosophy. But if you're eating these species, you may not be eating as healthy of animal and as healthy meat for you to consume as you might have thought.
Well, Mark, I am glad that you care about Joe Rogan and that you shared that information with him right now and with others. I think it's important to get that information out there. And before we move into positive news, will you allow me a moment to do a shameless plug?
Yeah, well, I just also wanted to share, you
No,
see
no.
videos of Joe Rogan, and he's got his headphones on, much like we normally do. But here's a little fun fact you didn't know is that with those headphones, he's actually listening to episodes of the Wildlife Wire.
And he is hopefully reading my Fur Bearer report.
Ooh, yeah,
And
tell me about
that
it.
that is my shameless plug is that in my work with the Center for Biological Diversity, we have released a full report on all 17 fur bearer species in Colorado. I say fur bearers using air quotes. It's what the agency calls animals that are deemed as valuable for their fur. And it lays out all sorts of important things like banning rodenticides. That is an item on the list, a priority item, but also other impacts that we could be having on fur bearers, and then go species by species on, some important changes we can make. And right now, we do allow hunting and trapping that overlap with pupping and dispersal seasons, so it's important to change that. Our mustelids, like our pine martens and our mink, have delayed embryo implantation, so it's really hard to hunt or trap them without impacting their breeding season. And so, yeah, all sorts of good stuff in there, and we can link to that. And I'm hopeful that we can see some of these changes in Colorado. So, thanks for letting me have a shameless plug. I appreciate you.
Plug on. Uh, yeah, no, it is a great report and certainly worth a read if you care for these animals, if you want to see policy changes around them to, what we could do. We can just leapfrog straight from the 1800s. We'll just skip the 1900s and we'll update it right into the best policies for 2025.
That's the dream. And there's lots of science linked in that report too, because I know folks are always interested in how does the science back this up? I think that wildlife management decisions are often made based on values, but I think it's important to have science inform those decisions. And so that's all linked throughout there as well. And speaking of
Oh,
positive
I
changes,
have, I have,
no.
but I have one more question, real quick,
Okay,
on
I'm ready.
your report. Are there any references to monsters in it?
Well, it's titled If You Want More Monsters in Your Neighborhood. Meso monsters, if you will.
Just kind of medium-sized monsters. Most people are okay with medium-sized monsters.
Follow these recommendations. So obviously that's the title, and just in time for Christmas gifts, print out a copy, stuff it in a stocking, and share the love around.
I love it. Yeah. So we want to talk about more uplifting things. here's something. Here
Right.
is something that you don't hear a lot these days on wildlife. Uh, a positive story from the federal level. What do you think
Ooh.
about that?
I I'm thrilled. What is it?
Right? And so this one's wildlife crossings could see permanent federal funding through a bipartisan bill. And so in 2021, uh, there was the Wildlife Crossing pilot program funded through the Biden administration's Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. And that kind of started off a bunch of projects, like 35 projects across the country to build various types of wildlife crossings. They're not always crossings, right? They're underpasses. It includes like fencing to get the animals to those crossings, kind of funnel them there. And wildlife crossings is been in the news here in Colorado, in that the Greenland uh, wildlife crossing, the world's largest, is opening. I
Wow.
saw a line of mule deer waiting as they were cutting the ribbon. They wanted to be the first, get their little selfies. Uh,
Typical mule deer.
yeah, the problem is they can't do the selfies because they don't have any thumbs. Uh,
Oh,
but
yeah.
hopefully CPW was there to help out with that.
Antler GoPro or
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
that
we gotta
kind of thing.
work on that for them. Uh, but so this pilot program is set to expire in 2026, and Ryan Zinke, who is one of the Montana um, congressional representatives, has led this bill. And some folks may say, Ryan Zinke, who is that? I know that name. Well, he was the former Secretary of Interior.
I
And
knew it.
yeah,
He's an oil and gas guy, isn't he, too?
yeah, probably. I mean, that
But
makes
that's
sense.
a positive thing. I think you can be both something that's concerning and also have some good facets to you. So there you go.
Hey,
So the good facet,
yeah,
wildlife crossings.
yeah. I mean, I'm willing to work with anyone on a common issue, no matter what other things we may differ on, right? And
Yeah.
so I completely support this work here that he's leading, and it is to you know permanently make available these funds for states to use. And a number of states have their own funding, but we also know with state funding that oftentimes that money, or a portion of it, is coming from federal dollars. So even if it sounds like, oh, the states are taking care of things, when you actually look into their revenue sources, uh, a large part is typically coming from federal funds. So,
Yeah.
you know, uh, this is a big step forward. I hope that it passes. It sounds like with bipartisan support. I mean, it's not going to take a lot of bipartisan support to get it through our current Congress. But I don't see why Democrats would be opposed to this unless there was a bunch of extra pork attached. But
Yeah.
we I support this. I'm looking forward to seeing the outcome of this, and seeing less wildlife and vehicle collisions happening.
So that is excellent news. I am glad to hear that there could be bipartisan support for this. And I think anything that helps our animals, we know that a lot of endangered animals are lost in vehicular strikes each year. So um, good on Zinke for doing that. You've
Good,
got something else warm and fuzzy for me
good
today,
on
I
Zinke.
hear?
I do, and this one comes uh, from the National Wildlife Federation's 2025 photo contest.
Ooh.
Guess what? What fuzzy little friend was the main star of the winning photo? I'll give you a hint. We don't know what it says. And this particular one that we don't know what he or she says, lives very far north.
Oh my gosh. Well, this one says Eki, 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 ow, but burr too because it's an Arctic fox.
Arctic fox, indeed. And it was
Yes.
this particular photo was taken in Alaska's St. George Island, and it is adorable. It's this little fox sitting on the edge of a very steep cliff that's lush. You got the seagulls flying around in the background, fog coming in. I mean, it's a beautiful shot. But
Oh wow.
yeah, as I was looking around at different news stories, there was a number of stories talking about photography and you specifically taking photos in the winter. My favorite time of the year for photography is the winter. I love uh, the snowy backdrops, right? So sometimes I'm try to have like a very minimalist type feel oftentimes in my images, and no easier way to do that if everything is draped in white in the background.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Beautiful. I can't wait to see it.
yeah, I can't either, or I can.
You
I
saw it,
can't, and
Mark.
I
Yeah.
already saw it. So there we go. There is links to other images. I did find another little fun fact that's a photography adjacent. Um, it was about robins
Ooh,
and robins um, prevalence on Christmas uh, decorations and like paintings on plates and mugs and all
huh.
that stuff.
Robins, really?
Yeah, and I think it's more of a European thing. That's why I didn't end up going with it. But I guess it goes back to biblical times of robins being at the birth of Jesus, which is very appropriate, seeing that Christmas is just a handful of days away. But in America, I don't think we get quite that so much artwork at Christmas time with robins. I see a lot of penguins with little hats on.
I thought it was partridges, Mark. I was thinking of the other P bird
Yeah,
in a
that
pear tree,
yeah, that
you know,
too. Uh,
those ground dwelling partridges that don't ever go up into trees, they do go up for Christmas. So
right.
I love that.
Yeah. I was walking around in the neighborhood with my dog and my wife the other day, and someone had one of those big inflatable Christmas decorations with all those penguins with their little fuzzy hats on.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is all wrong. I mean, Santa lives at the North Pole, which is definitely not penguin habitat.
Yeah.
So
But, they're really doing a collab right now,
yeah,
a cross-pole collab.
hey, I support it because I do love those little penguins, uh, but ecologically incorrect.
Yeah. Well, gosh, don't be a Grinch.
Uh,
Okay. Are you ready for my Christmas story?
let's hear it.
So, this is my Merry Fishmas story that we alluded to earlier. And so, the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife does a Christmas tree recycling program to make fish habitat in its state reservoirs. So, the bottoms of these reservoirs are man made lakes, end up losing habitat over time because they're not natural lakes. And so, they'll actually put together anyone's Christmas trees that comes and donates them, and they weave the branches tightly together and they put them into the lakes so they can sink to the bottom and become habitat for all kinds of fish. And they call this particular event Christmas for Fishes, which I think my Merry Fishmas is better.
I think so too.
Um,
You can let them know.
So, so I think it's great that we're thinking about how can we turn something that we use each year or a piece of the environment we take and return it back to the environment. And so they have a full recycling program to repurpose your Christmas tree in Kentucky for fish habitat. So go Kentucky.
Yeah,
Proud of you
they must have
today.
been talking to my uncle too. He lives on a lake in Georgia, and he's been sinking Christmas trees around his dock for years.
Ooh, well, he is a trendsetter.
All right.
and Kentucky has taken note, and they are doing the same thing. So I am happy with Kentucky, and happy Christmas to those fishes.
And I hope they do it like at night from a bridge and they just pull up and they throw the cinder block off tied to the rope and then they someone just sees this big thing coming down behind.
No, no, Mark, I do not hope they do that. This is a joyful experience. They, they could dress up as Krampus, though, I guess, and do that. That would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, but Krampus wouldn't want to help the fishies. Well,
Well, Mark,
yeah.
we've hit the end, but do you want to tell our listeners what number episode is this for us? We're at 50
51, yeah,
episodes.
55
Wow.
1. So we appreciate
Wow.
you guys coming along with us in our first year of the Wildlife Wire. And I mean, it was like a full year because we started right at the beginning of January. So uh, we appreciate y'all, and we look forward to sharing more news and interviews with you after the new year. And we
Absolutely.
wish you a
Merry Christmas.
happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Boxing Day for Canadian folks, Happy
Ha
Kwanzaa and
Happy New Year, Hanukkah,
Hanukkah,
all of
all of
the
it.
things.
Yep.
All of it. All right, we'll see you next year.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been an episode of the Wildlife Wire with me, Mark Searles, and my co-host, Samantha Miller. Thank you for listening.